Okay, so let's get into it. But first of all, I want to let you guys know how the structure is going to be today. We're going to talk about, I'm going to show you guys a video by this guy named, I think his name is Brian. And it's a really, I follow him for every reason except for crypto. His name is Clear Tax Value. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to play the video. And he talks about everything in the market. You guys probably have never heard of him. Not a lot of people have, because he talks about the general market, like the world economic factors. His name is Clear Value Tax, and he's a very mesmerizing guy to watch. Like, I'm talking about very, very, very mesmerizing. You got to follow him if you want to follow just macroeconomics. And he made a few good points, and I want to talk about, like, kind of do a a reaction video to what he's talking about, and it pertains to the topic that we're gonna go into today. So, oh, Willis, this hat. I'll show you guys the hat. This one right here. Day Traders Club, Team Philakone. I'm wearing my wife's. There's many different colors and variations of it, and they're not for sale. I'm gonna wear it every day and talk about it every day. But you know what, man? What gets me into the zone when I'm trading is wearing this hat. I got a little container. It's like a lotion. It's like a lavender lotion, but I also have fresh lavender. So what I do every day before I start trading, actually before I go into a trade, is I make sure my hat's on, first of all, and then I open that container and I smell it. So I always open it and I smell it. And the last time that I smelled it was when I made a really good trade, like the very first time I smelled it. And I made a killer trade on Bitcoin for like, I think it was $27,000 like in early December. So then it reminds me of that exact moment where I made such a good trade, right? So it brings me to the zone. And I draw an imaginary circle around me. And then this imaginary circle is where I'm going to have pure success. And I wear my lucky hat, and I remember the scent of success. And then I start day trading, and it reminds me to not make mistakes when I trade. And that's the whole goal of this whole smell thing and the whole like hat thing as well. Just things that remind me of to not make mistakes. And I come, you know, to some people they might be stupid, but to me they're routines that I really am serious about because it prevents me from making stupid mistakes. It reminds me of being at the best that I can possibly be. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here and there, this video, and I'm going to comment on it as well, okay? So this whole video is going to be about a portfolio comparison, and I made two different portfolios for you guys. One is where you buy everything now, and then one is where you buy it later if it dips. And then the next video I'm going to do, I'm still preparing it, is where you buy one now, and then it doesn't actually hit another low, and then we start going sideways instead, and we've pretty much hit every low that we already did, and then you have to buy on strength. So that one there, you lose more money, right? But so there's risks associated with every level of buying. So there's risk right now. Like for example, okay, I'm just gonna play the video first, and I'm gonna pause it here and there, then we're gonna go from there. If you guys can't hear it, let me know. Okay, let me know if you cannot hear it. If there's an echo, let me know as well. I'm gonna mute my microphone while I play it.
The crypto bull run has not started yet. It's going to happen in 2024. My Bitcoin price prediction of $12,000 still stands. What you're witnessing right now is a bear market rally. I know it's stirring that FOMO sensation, but maintain discipline because this is a trap. I'm making this video because I don't want you to get baited into this dead cat bounce, because emotions and FOMO are a powerful thing.
Okay, so what he's saying is that it's a dead cat bounce, right? And to an extent, I agree with it. But one of the reasons why this guy's really respected, by the way. He's like a multi-million-dollar investor, and he's also a CPA, so he's an accountant as well. So I do respect what he says. But one of the things I've got to point out is that we don't really know if it's a dead cat bounce, okay? And the reason for that is because for the very first time, for example, on the 3-day chandelier exit indicator, we actually broke above the major bearish volatility zone. So that's one key reason why we don't really know if it's the bottom or not. But if we went back to history, For example, if we went to where Bitcoin first began its bull market rally in 2017. So for example, we see this major bearish trend, right? Just like how we see right now. Make this red line equivalent to where we are right now. And then we finally broke out of it for the first time, which is right here where it turns green. And then this is also during the 2-week MACD crossover. So we also see that in that specific moment, this is where the MACD crossed over as well, right here. Okay, so it crossed over there, just like how it went from green to red. See, sorry, it went from a red to green on the 2-day. I'm gonna bar replay it so you guys can see this better. Actually, the 3-day, my bad. So if you see right here, you see that it finally turned from red to green. And this is exactly where the MACD crossed over as well. So what this guy is saying is that this is another fake out, just like it was in 2015, where we rallied, but look what happened. We ended up going to the downside and we dropped another 50%. So this was a fake rally. So if you take what he says about how it's a fake rally and there could be another drop, history has proven that already as well. But if you take a look at the case of 2017, okay, this is what ended up happening. I'm going to close this right here. So after the bull market in 2017, what you're seeing is that it kind of did something similar. Okay, it started to turn from like red to one-time green. And then that one-time green, we ended up rallying about 350%. And then we finally dropped to the downside. And this drop was massive. It dropped 74%. So to an extent, I really do agree that this might not be the bottom. Because based off of both times in 2015 and in 2019, as we started to rally, and when the bull market looked like it began, it definitely rallied a huge amount. But we were faced with a massive, massive drop afterwards. So despite right here, the chandelier exit indicator on the 3-day consistently being pretty much red, and the first time it flipped over green, we still eventually started to go green, red a few times. Just like how over here as well. The first time we got the MACD crossover, we got green, red. But we got that huge drop in 2015, just like how we got a huge drop in 2020 as well, 2019 leading up to 2020. Does that make sense? So we really don't know if this is the bottom or not. And the whole point of this video that I'm making is to show you guys that there's a possibility of a huge incoming drop, and we're going to weigh both scenarios of buying right now and then waiting for another, buying pretty much everything right now, and then maybe buying half of it now and waiting for a dip. But that dip may never come, right? So I'm just going to keep playing it right here for you guys.
So I want you to know this. I like crypto. I like Bitcoin. I believe that in the next bull run, there's going to be a lot of money to be made. There's going to be a lot of new millionaires minted. But if you have limited money and you're trying to turn a small amount of money into a large amount of money, then you cannot screw up your entry points. If you have the mentality that this price where Bitcoin is at right now is good enough, that if you buy now and just hold, then you'll be okay in the next bull run. If that's your mentality, then I'll tell you that, you know what, I agree. You'll do okay, but you're not going to do great. I would prefer that you maximize your gains and you do great, not just okay. I mean, you should have some standards. If you want to be average and just do okay with cryptos, that's fine. This video is probably not for you. As most of you know, I warned everyone in February of 2021 that Bitcoin would peak later in that year, and it came true. I already made an 11-minute I told you so video 2 months ago. You can verify for yourself, so I'm not going to get into that again today. Not only did I call the top, I predicted that cryptos would crash, and obviously that came true. My target entry point on BTC has not changed. Bitcoin's high end of the target range is $12,000. So I'll start buying at $12,000. If it falls further, I will dollar cost average down. And then I'm going to hodl. I'm just going to strap myself in for the next bull run. Until then, I am not paying $21,000 for Bitcoin. That is for suckers. Is there a chance that this bear market rally has some steam left? So yes, of course. I cannot predict short-term volatility, what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks leading up to the February 1st FOMC meeting. But in the midterm,
That's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. So the whole point of this video was, and he gets really far into. I'm not really doing a reaction video. I'm more so just trying to provide different views on the market right now. And this one was a really good one that I watched, and he conveyed it incredibly well. And the whole point of this is this, okay? If you got a limited amount of money, your entry point is the most important thing that you can have, because it can be the difference between making a very little to making a gigantic amount. And if you factor in all these world economic factors right now, that's going to contribute to a major recession that we just haven't felt yet, because it's lagging and it's not going to be in full force until the middle of this year or later into 2023. It could imply that crypto is not going to move, new money is not going to go in. We know the entire argument already with these Fed rate hikes, with the energy crisis, with unemployment, with the mortgage crisis as well right now. It could really contribute, but we don't know, right? We've seen 2019 where sure, it started to rally, but it never dipped below the actual beginning of the rally. It definitely rallied 350%, but it dropped 70%. Nevertheless, it never made a lower low. So now you're forced to make a decision. If you have a limited amount of money, which I'm sorry to say, but the majority of people probably are not investing like hundreds of thousands of dollars to seven-figure portfolios. So your entry is so important right now, and you have to make a decision on where your entry is going to be. So just as an example right here, this spreadsheet, it shows some of the hottest coins that I believe will eventually have a major impact on the next bull market. So just as an example, with the $10,000 portfolio, where you're allocating 35% of the portfolio to Bitcoin and 16% to Ethereum, and these other ones, Algorand, Aave, Avalanche, Cardano, Chainlink, Solana, XRP. Now, if you disagree with these picks, that's entirely your decision to do so, and within your right as well. But I'm just using these purely for, well, first of all, what I believe fundamentally is going to do really well this year. And secondly, just I'm very, very emotional about these coins, put it that way. I've done a lot of research about them, and I really do believe they're going to perform extremely well in the next bull market. And there's a lot of other contenders there as well, like Near Protocol, like DOT, like HBAR. So there's a lot that I'm considering to add in here as well. And there's also Atom. So some of the big coins out there. And a lot of developers are focusing on new projects as well outside of layer one. So there's so many different arguments about what type of cryptos are going to possibly skyrocket in the next bull market. But I chose these ones specifically because it's what I'm used to and what I believe will perform very well. And also because it's in my portfolio. So, and the rest of the portfolio gets 7%. Okay. So if you allocated this amount, and assuming that the next bull market reaches the all-time high, okay, this is just the all-time high. Do you see in this column right here? Assuming that all these coins will eventually reach just the all-time high. Now, it's impossible to extrapolate what their target could actually be if it does make new all-time highs. We don't know. So I'm just using the data of what we have right now. And based on the data that we have right now, this $10,000 portfolio, it would increase by 396%. So you would have a P&L of about $49,600. That's P&L, by the way. That's profit, not adding in the acquisition cost. So really, that $10,000 portfolio would be equal to 10,000 plus 49,600. Does that make sense? Okay, so then if you notice that Bitcoin and Ethereum, their ROI based off of where we buy right now, it's only about 200%, right? So alts have a different beta than, of course, Bitcoin. So a beta refers to how well this coin will perform compared to the overall market. And Bitcoin would definitely be considered one of the ones that we would measure up against for alts. So the beta of these alts, they're much higher, which basically means they have a much bigger multiplying factor for when Bitcoin moves. So if Bitcoin moves, for example, 10%, these alts are likely to move way more than that by a factor of at least 1.0 and up, by probably 1.5, or some of them maybe even times 3, times 4. So if you notice that the ROI for all of these alts, they're extremely ridiculous. So for the ROI for Algorand, that's probably one of the hottest coins that I predict will do incredibly well. And I'm not going to get into the fundamentals of it. So this coin could possibly do like 1100%. Pretty much every single alt has the potential to do some major numbers. So now you've got to make a decision for what you believe. And I'm not here to tell you what the right thing is or if I believe it's going to drop more or not, because the truth is, I don't freaking know. Nobody knows. Anybody that is very sure of if this is the bottom or if we're dropping further, they're incredibly biased. They don't know more than the next Joe Blow. Let's be real, right? The market could do anything at any time, and it's as unpredictable as the weather sometimes. So, but you do have some layers of management that you can put into buying. So, for example, right now, if you had $20,000, okay, let's just say $20,000 to buy, and you decided to buy $10,000 worth right now, that's your acquisition cost. And then you decide to wait and then buy at a lower price. Remember that it may never, ever even hit a lower price. So what you're going to end up doing is buying at a higher price. So it comes with that risk as well of waiting for a lower price that may never come. Just like how when Bitcoin was $3,000 and people were literally waiting for a $1,000 Bitcoin. That just never came, right? And when things like that happen, well, you end up missing out. So it's impossible to predict where the bottom is or when it's going to be, and it's impossible to catch the bottom as well. All that you have are different layers of risk management and buying opportunities when the actual risk to purchase is really low. And in my opinion, right now, it's great. It's a great time to buy. I'm not saying that you should buy because my risk tolerance and the way that I manage my coins could be different than yours. I might have a bigger bankroll and I might have more cash on hand to purchase if it drops to a much lower price, whereas some people may not. Like right now, I'm in for over 7 figures already, but that's also from a really low price, dollar cost average from even before this year. We're talking about from 2018, where I've been buying Ethereum and Bitcoin and managing it long term. And I've added new ones as well, like Solana, of course, like Algorand, and I've been holding Cardano and Link for a little bit now as well. And these new ones in here, like Avalanche and Aave, they're all new to me as well. XRP, I've been holding mine since like 25 cents now for who knows how long. I'm very sentimental towards them. So if you were to buy everything right now, you would do just okay if it reached the all-time high. But if you want to take on more risk, okay, and you get to a lower price. So now let's just say that you had $10,000. Okay, like this scenario, you have $10,000 altogether. And then the next scenario, you have another $10,000, but you wait for a lower price. So let's just assume that Bitcoin drops by another, for example, 40%, okay? And it actually drops to about $13,800. And because the beta of each of these alts are different as well, I assume that Ethereum might drop 50%. If Bitcoin drops 40%, I would assume Bitcoin would drop about 50%. And then Algorand, for example, would drop probably 70%, Aave 70%, Avalanche 70%. Chainlink has actually held pretty decently. So it tends to hold pretty decent compared to other alts. So I'm going to give that guy about a 60% drop. Solana, I'm going to say it's going to drop about 60%. And XRP, probably not that much because a quarter seems to be a very strong support level for XRP. So let's just hypothetically say that you waited till Bitcoin got to $14,000 and you bought your alts and entered a position for long-term then. Now, of course, mind you, it could drop even further, but you're now in a better position than if you were to buy today. So with that P&L, what it would end up being is it would be $143,000 if it reached an all-time high. So with $10,000 of acquired crypto, if it reached the all-time high, you'd be looking at $143.5 thousand, which is much more significant than this one because this one is only about $50,000 ROI. So the difference with a 40% Bitcoin drop, okay, I'm talking about just 40% of a Bitcoin drop and entering at that time with a $50,000 P&L is different by a factor of about 3 times. Does that make sense? A 40% Bitcoin drop, just assuming that the beta would be something around these percentages, if it reached the all-time high again, you would make literally 3 times more. That is insane. So But if you had $20,000, okay, your $20,000, if you bought now, you would be making only about $100,000, which isn't great compared to investing half as much at a lower price. But let's just say you took the average of you buy now and there's a P&L of about 50,000, and then you had another $10,000 to add if the price dropped lower. Well, now all of a sudden your $20,000, it turns into 143 plus 50. So it turns into $193,000. But that's averaging buying now and it dropping further. But if with the 20K, it's only about 99,000. So you're literally doubling your investment by perhaps buying now and waiting for a drop. And in my opinion, it's important to, when it drops, it's important to stay heavy cash and have Bitcoin. Because as Bitcoin starts to rally, these alts won't perform nearly as well as Bitcoin. Because the BTC dominance on a really gigantic drop, when it starts to recover and the accumulation phase begins, the BTC dominance is going to be huge. In fact, during Bitcoin's rally, you never know. Alts may even start to bleed or go sideways for a while before it becomes alt season. So in my opinion, it's important to stay Bitcoin heavy. And then after the alts start to recover, it's all right to sell some of that Bitcoin and start moving into alt season and start dollar cost averaging and allocating some of that Bitcoin portfolio to the alts. So that's my plan. So right now I'm in pretty heavy as well, like really heavy, over 7 figures in the now category, because I don't want to take that risk of it possibly not being the bottom. But I'm aware. I'm 100% aware of all the world economic factors that's really going to contribute to another major drop. I know that with 100% certainty, but nevertheless, it's not 100% guaranteed that we are going to see lower prices. So I'm protecting myself from perhaps never catching a bottom, because it may never come, by buying right now and also keeping cash on hand so that when it does drop, or if it does drop further, I'm also going to be ready to double down pretty much. I have anywhere between 500,000 to another 7 figures just ready to buy on a dip. And the worst case scenario is that, well, first of all, I didn't get a chance to buy my maximum position now. Okay, that would be ideal if I caught the bottom, but we don't know if that's even possible or if that is the case right now. And then I would also miss a drop to the downside because it just never happened. So now I got this cash on hand. Let's just say I got $1 million. I got $1 million cash on hand that I didn't buy now, but the market started rallying. And then I got $1 million and I couldn't buy it on a lower dip because it never happened. So now I'm forced to buy on strength, right? That is okay as well. Because the point is, I'm in right now, and I'm protecting myself from all 3 different scenarios. So that's how I see the market long term and being successful. Sure, right now, if you buy it, you'll do pretty good because the market will eventually recover, but only if you're willing to be in a position for a long period of time. And I'm talking like 2-3 years. If you can't hold for 2-3 years and you want to start taking profits every 20 or 30%, you're probably not going to do that well in the investing game. Right? You got to take profits when there are major factors such as EMAs being broken, chandelier exits, volatility being broken as well, gigantic like bearishly harami candles or shooting stars forming where it could indicate it could bounce to the 55 EMA. So if you're just going to take profit just because it spikes up a little bit, you might end up missing a gigantic rally that could possibly come as well. So man, it's been getting over 27 minutes already. I didn't want to make it this long. And of course, I made it public by accident again. You guys are really lucky that I make this public because this is the kind of videos that I'm only willing to like make for the Discord group. So that's all I wanted to convey to you guys. Make a decision. Where do you want to allocate your risk? Do you want to risk waiting for a bottom that may never come? Right? And are you still sure if you wait for a bottom that it's actually going to come? How sure are you? And then you have to have a protection plan. What are you going to do if the bottom actually just never comes? Like, and then you're waiting for a bottom, and then all of a sudden we go sideways for like the next year into the halving. You never get that $14,000 or $12,000 Bitcoin that you've been waiting for, and instead it even breaks $23,000 by the end of the year. And then what are you going to do after that? Do you have a plan? So you have to think about all these things if you decide to wait for a lower price. Where does your risk lie? How much money are you willing to buy now? And how much will you allocate to buying on another dip? Or if you're not going to buy anything right now and it never hits the bottom, how much will you buy if it ends up rallying, and what conditions will make you end up buying. So you have to have a game plan. Like if you don't have a game plan, you're just gonna get effed over in the market. So there's a lot of people that's just sitting on the sidelines right now, like, oh, I'm just gonna come back when the bull market comes. Well, those guys will never outperform a guy like me that, like, I think about crypto almost 24/7. Like I'm obsessed with crypto. And I know a lot of my friends in real life that are obsessed with crypto as well. None of my real life friends in my home city, because they're all too busy like partying and doing drugs and being losers, to be honest. But the people I know online, they're really interested in turning that, $10 million portfolio to like $100 million, like no joke. And these guys are people in 2017 that I met that had like $100,000 to their name. And now they've all of a sudden got like close to 8 figures and they're doing really well. And they've never day traded a single moment in their life. They've just been holding. So, and we talk a lot. We talk so much about the investing side of it and holding long term. So the whole point of this video, once again, was just to let you guys know, like, you got a lot of decisions to make and you have really only one opportunity to do incredibly well in this bull market. You won't get another opportunity. Trust me, guys. The diminishing returns on Bitcoin, it goes down every single time there's a major bull market. Like 2015 or 2013 was really high. 2017, the ROI was lower. And then 2021, the ROI was even lower. And this time, it's going to be even lower as well. And it's going to be like that every time there's a bull market from now on. So I think right now, you got to really buckle down to make those decisions of how much am I going to keep for day trading? Do I even want to day trade? Can I even make money during day trading? Or is it better for you to just allocate your money to investing only instead? Could you make more? So you have to think about all these risks and all these factors that's going to contribute to making the most. Like myself, excuse me, I've decided I'm only going to trade with $100,000. I was so keen on trading with like $1 million, but then I realized, man, I don't want that stress, And you could make so much with $100,000 position size because coins can spike up like 20, 30, 40%. So now I'm going to minimize my stress level and focus more on day trading with a comfortable amount so I can also manage the portfolio as well. Because when you manage the portfolio, you got to look at long-term indicators every single day to see if we're inching closer and be on top of it. So investing in a bull market, it takes a freaking lot of energy as well. You don't just hold it and forget about it, right? Maybe at the very beginning, but there's going to come a time where it reaches the top and that 40% drop is going to come in one day. And you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready to react, right? Okay, so anyways, that's all the advice I wanted to give you guys today. So thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, guys. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you're hitting the like button, the subscribe, and also the notification bell. So have yourselves a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye now.